Why does my OCD fear, my OCD theme, my thoughts seem worse than everyone else? That's how it's going to feel. I remember feeling like that many times. I remember just being out, living life. Let's say I was at work in an office and people would be complaining, they'd be moaning about, let's say, the weather, or maybe an increase in price in the shops, or just generic problems, issues in life, things that people complain about. And I used to sit there and think, if only you had OCD, if only you knew what this stressful OCD fear felt like. Now, that's how it's going to feel. It's going to feel like your problem, your fear is just that step too far. That it's too much. It's just, I can never ever get better. It's just, I can't see a way through that. That's how it's going to feel. So comparison is the thief of joy. Because when you compare yourself, not just to people without OCD, when you compare yourself to people with OCD, and you can see that, I used to do this a lot, I could see, because I was really bad, POCD, harm OCD, real event, false memory, all the guilt related stuff. And I used to look at people, let's say relationship OCD or sensory motor or contamination. I could say, well, you're lucky to have that. I used to say things like, well, you're lucky to have that. POCD is the utmost worst. But that was when I didn't realise how OCD operated. I was convinced mine was totally real. I was convinced I was different. I was convinced I was treatment resistant. I was the exception. So I would used to beg and pray for another theme. I wish I had relationship OCD. I wish I have contamination OCD. But that is a trap, because all that is you're scared of something. There is no worse theme. There is no theme that's worse than anything else. There's no, oh, this one's too difficult, that one's fine. Yes, when it can move around, when it can latch and change, it feels like that wasn't as sticky. But remember, the only reason you feel like that is because you are further on in the journey. You have more tools, you have better ways of thinking, how being more rational and being more flexible in your thinking to overcome that specific fear or to overcome that theme. So comparing yourself with other people does not work, okay? You are in the situation you are currently in. You have been dealt the hand that you currently have. Complaining, venting, whining, screaming, shouting, stamping your feet, chucking your toys out the pram, these things do not help. I do not do that. I am human. I will get frustrated. I will be annoyed by things when things do not go my way. However, I am well aware through experience and through knowledge that complaining 24/7 does not get me anywhere productively. Today, I focus on overcoming the problem, overcoming the fear. Okay, what's the issue? How do I overcome that? That's not to say I don't have an opinion. So let's say I got really ill. I developed a serious disease, right? That is going to come with healthy feeling of concern. What if I die? What if I deteriorate and can't function how I used to? What if I couldn't do this? Or what if I lost a limb? Or what if I lost my hearing, my sight? I'm going to have concerns about that, okay? But complaining about that would get me nowhere. I think, right, what can I do about this situation? How can I help the situation? How can I deal with this situation efficiently? Now, this isn't just for OCD, this is for life. Because life throws all kinds of curveballs your way. All kinds of difficulties. All kinds of problems. All kinds of adversities. Right? It's not plain sailing. Even when you get better from OCD. When you recover from OCD, you are not problem-free. You are not hassle-free. You are not dancing down the street doing backflips. Right? That is not the reality of it. So, with this recovery journey, the main thing that I'm thankful for is how it's helped shape my beliefs, my perspectives, my attitude, my mindset on overcoming things. OCD was just a big hurdle to overcome, right? Very challenging. The biggest challenge I faced in my life. But who knows? There could be further challenges in my life. Who knows? It was incredibly, incredibly tough, right? But think of the lessons it teach you. So comparing yourself, it does not work. Comparing with other people. I spent years comparing myself with people who didn't have OCD. Oh, if only I had your life. If only I had your situation. If only I had your brain. If only this thing 10 years ago didn't happen in the past. If only I didn't have these thoughts. And like I already said at the start of this video, I think of their problems they're currently moaning about and go, look, I would do anything to have that problem. I would do anything to swap positions with you. You're complaining about the price of a car. Well, I'm convinced I should be going to jail for 30 years. I'm convinced that I'm going to die in 2 months' time, right, with health OCD. All right? But just know that although it's understandable why we do that, it does not get us anywhere. It's a zero return investment. All right? Now, I want to talk about something else as well. I've just come off a one-to-one call, and we were talking about how we try to work things out as OCD sufferers. That's what we do. I spent years trying to work things out in my head, ruminating, replaying the past 24/7. I spent years like that, complete waste of time, but we think we're going to find the answer. When we do that, it's like looking for that golden treasure hunt at the end of a rainbow. It's like looking for that pot full of gold at the end of a rainbow. But you are never going to find that pot full of gold. It's like, do you know when you lose a puzzle piece whilst you're doing a puzzle? And this puzzle piece has gone missing. It's probably under a sofa somewhere. It's probably been sucked up by the vacuum, by the Hoover. You're never going to find that. But that is what it feels like trying to work things out. You're scouring the past, you're scanning the past for this one thing that means you can then live your life. This one thing that means you can then go, right, life is now there to be lived. It doesn't work like that. We have to live life even with this in the past, even with the guilt, the anxiety. You're going to have to, okay? If you come into one-to-ones, we're going to break that down. We're going to look at your specific fears. I'm going to help you overcome those feelings of chronic guilt and chronic shame and chronic anxiety, right? But in the meantime, you cannot work it out. It does not work. Even if you felt like you've got some sort of certainty, even if it felt like you got some sort of relief on working it out, OCD will say, what about this? What were your intentions? Did you think of that deliberately? Did you do that deliberately? Did you do that on purpose? How old were you? And was you drunk? Can you remember doing that? Did you want to do that? It's going to throw all different curveballs at you. So even if you find some sort of clarity, some sort of certainty, OCD is the doubting disorder, and that will go out the window within no time. It's like when I used to confess. I used to get stuck, completely stumped on an event 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 days ago, whatever it could have been. It could have been yesterday, right? When I was really stuck, things used to happen like 5 minutes before and I go and confess, right? That's how it used to work. And then I confess, get relief, temporary relief, and literally an hour later, a day later, a minute later, oh my God, Sam, what if you didn't explain that correctly? What if you missed a word? What if they didn't quite understand? They misunderstood you. They misinterpreted that. And then, oh my God, down the rabbit hole you go, spiraling, asking them, ringing people up. Did you understand this? Did I explain this correctly? That was absolutely exhausting. But that is how it's going to feel. It used to feel like being on death row in your head 24/7. That judge and executioner, whereas like you're constantly giving evidence of why this, why that, why this. That's how it's going to feel, because it feels like you're constantly trying to find some sort of proof. OCD is trying to find some sort of proof that you should go to jail for the rest of your life, and you're trying to scan the past to show that you shouldn't do. But it doesn't matter, because OCD is going to cut that through like a knife through butter. It does not matter, okay? You could be convinced on something that you did not do something, but OCD will go say, no, yes, you did do something, all right? And that is how the chronic guilt comes about. So we have to go towards the worst case scenario, that even if we did do that with unconditional acceptance, remember, acceptance isn't agreement, a big part, acceptance isn't agreement, but that's what we'll break down in one-to-one calls. I remember when I was really, really stuck, it used to feel like this. This was like with real event, false memory, all the taboo-related, guilt-related themes. It'd be like, if I go to jail, then at least I'll get some sort of relief, right? And then it'd be like, oh my God, if I'm in jail for 20 years, what is about something else? What if it latches to another event in the past, another false memory, another thought that you had during intimacy or a really unwanted time. And that means you've got to then go to jail for 10 more years, 30 more years. That is what it would do. And it would feel like you can never, ever be let off the hook. And this is why unconditional acceptance is the missing key. Not working out, the missing key is unconditional acceptance. Thoughts of thoughts isn't deep enough for chronic severe OCD suffering. The missing key is unconditional acceptance and breaking down irrational beliefs, which we will cover in one-to-one calls. All right? And that is exactly how it felt. It felt like even if I handed myself into the police, even if I went to jail, even if I was killed, even if I confessed to every thought, every memory, every real event in the past, it feels like I'm going to get relief, but no, OCD would find something else. That is the nature of the disorder and how it latches. These are key points to remember, and I'm sure you can relate to these many, many times. If I watched this video 5 years ago, I'd be thinking, wow, this guy, like, he's explaining my brain. This guy's talking about my brain, and that is how it felt. I'm talking from personal experience. I've been to the edge with OCD, been suicidal with OCD. I've been crying down the phone all day long with OCD. Completely and utterly defeated by OCD. That's how I felt. All these things that I've talked about in this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. If you're interested in getting in touch with one-to-one services, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com or please click on the WhatsApp link in the description of this video. Bye-bye.